I figured I'd make a video on how to learn how to play an instrument, since I already play two, and I'm beginning to learn how to play the guitar. But, like I started out in band, but I didn't like band, so I got out of band, just continued to play, and after a while I learned enough songs to where I didn't really need to learn sheet music anymore. So I've forgotten sheet music, but I've known it before, so it would be a lot easier than if I hadn't known it to relearn it. So, how to learn how to play an instrument? You need to have the ability to calm yourself, or just not get frustrated. With pretty much any instrument I found, it's very easy to get frustrated. And some instruments are more difficult than others and are more easy to get frustrated with. The flute, I broke my toe out of frustration from playing the flute before. It's not very difficult compared to the guitar. The only instrument that I've played that I'd say is easier than the flute is the ocarina, which is a ceramic whistle, 12-hole ocarina to be specific. So, you want to notice when you're trying to do something and you can't do it. When you're trying to do something new and you can't do it. You also have to keep in mind that when you're trying to play something new or do something for the first time, you have to do it extremely slowly, like arduously slow. And if you get frustrated because, say, you are playing it slow or you're not, and then you can really easily get frustrated, but if you are playing it slow and you still aren't able to do what you're supposed to be doing or what you're trying to do, whether it's fret a key or fret a string or, finger a key or something, you have to notice when you're getting frustrated before you get frustrated. You have to see the things that are going to make you frustrated, and you have to stop. There are different ways. You have to come up with your own motivation, your own incentive for not getting frustrated. And my incentive is that if I get frustrated, I can't play. Because if you get frustrated, you can't do anything with any accuracy or control. And that's pretty much what music requires, accuracy and control. So if you get frustrated over something, then you have to put the instrument down, or you're going to damage it or yourself. Or you're just not going to learn anything. Even if you don't damage it, you're just going to be trying to do the same thing over and over again and doing it wrong over and over again, and then eventually teaching yourself how to do it the wrong way, which you don't want to do. You want to practice it the right way, of course. If you just need to play slower, then that's pretty easy. But there are some things like techniques that you have to learn and know of before you can do things the right way. Like with the flute, I started out with locked fingers. You're not supposed to start with locked fingers. Your fingers need to be bent. So you have to come out with your hand with an angle. And then of course the embouchure, that's just a whole thing in itself. It takes a lot of practice, the embouchure. So I find the main things that I get frustrated on are keys that are very difficult to finger in between, like D and C. It's literally like, this is D, and then C is all the notes that you weren't pressing, and release all the notes that you were. And then of course the fingering changes for another octave. If it's a low octave, then this finger is down. If it's a middle octave, then it's this finger. And if it's a high octave, then it's these fingers. Those are all D. You might notice they sound the same because they're the same note, just on a different octave. So, when you try to play something fast that's frustrating to play when you can't play it right, like this. I did that properly, but I didn't do it with the right timing. And that can get you irritated. When you're playing in front of people, you really just have to ignore that and keep playing. Because unless the person has a musical ear or plays your instrument or you messed up really badly, they're not even going to notice. And even if they do, you'll probably mess up several times over and over again. If you're trying to play in front of someone, then you mess up, say oops, and then try again. You just shouldn't stop and say oops. You should keep going as if you didn't mess up. Just remember in your mind to practice that part later. So, I did the wrong finger in the wrong octave. And usually I just say dang it, but you have to, you can't get frustrated about it. Even little things will build up to the point where you get frustrated. So you have to notice before you get frustrated. And you have to realize, you have to have an incentive. Like, in my case, I know that I won't be able to play and keep practicing if I get frustrated. And if I realize that before I get frustrated, right before I get frustrated, then I can just put the instrument down for 5 minutes or something, or try to play something else. So now I'm going to try to play this exceedingly difficult part, which is the end of The Lost Woods on the high octave. I did it right. Pretty much perfectly. I had to practice doing it really, really slowly several times, like... Once you can do that, you can practice actually doing what you were trying to do. Now I'm going to try to do that same thing on the low octave, which is harder because it's got different fingerings. So, you have to change your overture on the flute for different fingerings. Different techniques are applied for different instruments. I'd say things like the guitar are probably the most easy to get frustrated playing, or possibly this if you don't know how to hold it when you're trying to play the last couple notes. This is the ocarina. It's got 12 holes. This is the last hole that you would lift up on. That plays... I'm not sure if it plays F. No, I think no holes covered is F. So it can't play the next octave up E in that part that I was just playing. But I can play the rest of it. Then there would be a G. I don't know why I said E earlier. So, with this instrument, as you may have noticed, when I'm going to, like, after this point, like, I can hold the instrument pretty easily with 4 fingers and even 3 fingers. But after that point, you have to have some other way of grasping it. You can, like, use different parts of your hand. You just have to make sure you're not covering holes. I use my pinky, and so my pinky, like, slowly descends, and it's not covering that hole. It's just to get leverage on the ocarina. Yeah. I find that I end up locking my last finger on the ocarina. It's the only finger that is locked. But you don't have to if you change the way you're holding it. But locking your fingers is never good, but I have yet to have any difficulty locking my finger on this instrument, because this is the last note, and I mean, like, even that part that's using the last couple notes, my finger was locked. As you can see, when it looks like, well, I can't do it, but there's nothing on it. If it looks like this, and you're not able to, like, flex it and bend it like that, then it's locked. And your fingers shouldn't be locked. Maybe I should practice so that my finger isn't locked on the ocarina, but I haven't noticed this one finger being locked, impacting my playing ability on the ocarina. Of course, all the other fingers aren't locked, so that takes some getting used to. So, you basically have to learn the tricks to the instrument and make sure that you don't get frustrated, and that you have some sort of incentive for not getting frustrated, so that it actually works. And it won't work if you're already beginning to get frustrated. Like, once you start to get frustrated, there's a certain point where your brain is no longer acting rationally, and you just get more and more frustrated. You can't reverse.